Hi everyone, salam alaikum. That means peace be upon you. I'm Sumayyah Dawud. I'm Muslim, I'm trans, and I'm an activist here in Phoenix, Arizona. Also known as, this is occupied Otham territory. And first I want to talk about, I was one of the people at the anti-Trump rally on the 22nd. I know some people have already spoken about this, so apologies if some of this is repetitive. I also spoke at the city council meeting. But anyway, I happened to be one of the people that towards the end of that evening was standing with the anti-fascist, anti-colonial bloc, or Antifa as, anyway. They had us penned in like animals. They had these metal barriers all around. I had had multiple conversations with people throughout the day about, it seemed to me, I've been in many, many protests and marches where, it sure seems like we're this close to trampling or stampedes. They pen us in, they kettle us in, and then they do things like tear gassing and pepper spraying to get people to run and trample each other. And, 2 or 3 people tried to move one of those barriers, and then, the police just started attacking. And sure enough, I'm trying to get away from the tear gas. I was tear gassed last year at a Black Lives Matter march. Same thing as this time. There was no warning given. Nobody was throwing anything at the police or anything that time either. It just, people were just marching on the street instead of in the sidewalk in that time. And they just started attacking with tear gas and pepper spray. But anyway, this time, they did the same thing. It created chaos. Sure enough, as I'm trying to get away, there's more of those stupid metal barriers. People, I had my video on during part of this, and I looked back at it, and you could see somebody flying out of this smoke, climbing over a railing, trying to flee this tear gas. I had to knock these stupid barriers down to get away. Anyway, rather than ramble about all these details, some of us know there was a city council meeting, for police reform. I chose to show up and speak. I didn't believe for an instant that the government was going to actually change anything. I don't believe the police are going to investigate themselves and change anything. I don't think the Phoenix mayor is going to do it either, but I made my voice heard. A lot of us made our voices heard, and so far, again, they haven't changed anything, but guess what? There is something to be said about speaking truth to power. Anyway, one thing I want to touch on just a little bit that kind of disappoints me, but something I've seen as an activist for a really long time is divide and conquer, internal divisions and things like that, and that's one way the ruling class tries to keep us under control. They try to keep us divided and conquered. There's been a lot of talk since that action, from people on different sides of the so-called fence, that's saying, oh, well, Antifa ruined it for us, or this or that. And, all I have to say on this is we're all in a struggle here in different ways, and people do have different resistance tactics. I don't agree with all of them. I don't think anybody's going to agree with everybody's resistance tactics, but we have to be careful about throwing each other and each other's communities under the bus just because we don't like the way they protest. Literally, some of the things, though, I've heard, I think are actually outrageous. And anyway, there's still this talk, despite the fact that Heather Heyer was murdered recently. There's been, neo-Nazis, fascists, colonizers, racists, bigots, transphobes, Islamophobes have been killing people for a very long time. And I'm kind of tired of this rhetoric that, we're supposed to smile and be nice to these people. It doesn't change anything. It really doesn't. That's my opinion on this. And anyway, and we have these people that they try to blame us for the way we protest. That we're supposed to just allow these fascists to do whatever they want to do, and we're just supposed to take it. And I don't agree with that. But I do want to say, it's very important that we understand how connected the struggles are. There's so many assaults going on right now against so many communities. It's very hard to keep up with. I find it very stressful. I know I'm not alone. We had the DACA decision, and all this stuff, and I mean, there's, the police are killing people. We have the Muslim ban, the transgender military ban. I mean, this is one thing I want to say about that. I mean, I don't support what the armed forces are doing overseas, but the language that was used against that, the language that Trump used in that ban, was what really stood out, because he was referring to us as trans people using the phrases that we are a distraction, we're a costly burden, and we prevent victory. He's been using a lot of rhetoric against a lot of communities like this, talking about how America needs to be strong, we need to be strong, and he's talking against people who are weak. This is Nazi rhetoric. This is not, this type of language, it may be subtle enough to pass by a lot of people, but this type of rhetoric is very, very dangerous. They're connected. While U.S. money is going to fund Israeli terror against the Palestinians, Elbit Systems, which is an Israeli company, happens to be continuing to build spy towers on the Tohono O'odham reservation to spy on people crossing the border. So again, all these things are very, very well connected, and we need to do our best to learn from each other, stand together, and work together to, for the liberation of all people. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.